Respiration should be regular and symmetrical. The accessory muscles should not be used. The patient should breathe comfortably while sitting in his arms at rest. Now, move around slowly to the patient's back. As you do this, assess the anterior, posterior, and lateral diameter of the thorax. Normally, the lateral diameter is up to twice the anterior posterior diameter for a ratio of above 2:1. Still standing behind the patient, use your finger pads to palpate the spinal processes. They should be evenly spaced and non-tender. Next, assess respiratory expansion. To do this, place your thumbs at the level of T10 or the 10th thoracic vertebra. Spread your fingers, allowing for small fold skin between your thumbs. Ask the patient to take deep, slow breath. As he does, watch your thumb move with respiration. Their movement should be symmetrical. Next, assess for tactile fremitus or voice sounds palpated on the chest wall surface using the wall of your hand. Feel for vibrations as the patient repeats the phrase 99. Move from A to Z inside the scapula down to the lower and lateral thorax. In each location, there should be equal vibrations. Now, perform midget percussion using a systematic pattern so you can compare the two sides. Resonance should be equal over the lungs. You should hear dullness over the diaphragm. Hyperresonance means you found an area of increased air in the lung or pleural space as with the acute asthma. Abnormal dullness indicates decreased air in the lungs, as well as the buildup of pleural fluid. Now, assess diaphragmatic excursion. To do this, ask the patient to inhale and then hold his breath. As he holds his breath, percuss from the scapula down to where the sound changes from resonance to dullness. Mark the spot with a pen. Now, ask the patient to inhale deeply and hold his breath as you percuss further down to the new area of dullness. Mark the spot too. Repeat this process on the other side. Measure the distance between the set of mark on each side. Normally, this distance represents diaphragmatic excursion, measures 3 to 5 cm, and is equal on both sides. Next, assess the kidneys using blunt or fist percussion over the costa-vertebular angle. Percussion in this area should not cause tenderness. Finally, auscultate breath sounds with the diaphragm of your stethoscope. To do this, instruct the client to breathe deeply through his mouth. Auscultate the lungs, move systematically from side to side down the patient's back, and be sure to at least listen for one complete respiration at each location. Normal breath sounds vary between the area you are assessing. You should hear bronchovesicular sound between the scapula. These sounds are moderate in speed and amplitude. The inspiratory phase is equal to the expiratory phase. You should hear vesicular sounds at the apices, down to the bases and laterally. These sounds are low-pitched and soft with a longer expiratory phase. Listen for abnormal sounds such as crackles and wheezes, coughing, and abnormal respiratory effort. If you hear crackles or wheezes, ask the patient to cough and listen again if the abnormal sounds are cleared. If you suspect abnormality, help the patient say 99 as you auscultate the areas. To assess the patient's anterior thorax, begin with the bones and muscles. Normally, they appear symmetrical and you should not see accessory muscles, retractions, or bulges. The patient should not have any signs of respiratory difficulties. Palpate the thorax with your finger pads, moving from the lung apices to the bases. You should find no nodules or tenderness. To assess respiratory expansion, place your hand on the patient's chest along with costal margins with your thumbs pointing toward the xiphoid process. Have the patient take a deep breath. As he does, watch your thumbs. They should move simultaneously and symmetrically. Now, assess for tactile fremitus. Ask the patient to repeat the phrase 99. Move from the lung apicus down to a point below a nipple's comparing sides. Vibration should feel equal but stronger in the upper chest than the lower chest. Next, perform percussion over the lungs. Using a systematic approach, start just above the clavicle and percuss in the intercostal spaces from side to side. Percussion should produce low resonance sound. Then, auscultate over the patient's lungs with the diaphragm of the stethoscope in the same pattern you use over the percussion. At each location, listen for one complete respiration. Normal breath sounds vary with the area you are assessing. You should hear tracheal sounds over the trachea. These are high-pitched and loud. You should hear bronchovesicular sounds laterally and over the bronchi angle of Louis. Expect to hear vesicular sounds over most of the anterior thorax. If you suspect an abnormality, ask the patient to say 99. As you auscultated all the areas involved, normally the words sound muffled and indistinct. And this is a video clip on how to assess the thorax. Thank you.